reasonably sure.
This conference is being recorded.
You know, with someone you may have a different view than your own. Then talk to one. Let's read one another on the son.of.man. A live broadcast every Sunday at 12 noon on TV 33, FM 88.1, WHPR, and Comcast Cable. So why don't you call and let's discuss the Holy Bible, and if you have one, the Holy Quran, and come to an agreement about the Holy Scriptures, their true meaning. So tune in to a spiritual every Sunday at 12 noon, right here on TV 33, FM 88.1, WHPR, and Comcast Cable. You can call in live on the air at area code 313-868-4336, 868-0342, and 868-0351. Of course, the area code is 313. That's 313-868-4336, 868-0342, and 868-0351. And now let's go live with the scriptural discussion of the Son of Man.
Thank you. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Most Merciful, the Truthful, and the Most Just, I greet all of you once again who are within the sound of my voice with the greeting words of peace from the Lord of the worlds. May Allah's salam alaikum. May Allah's peace be unto you all. I want to say that I've kind of, a lot of times people say, you claim to be religious, but you getting involved with politics and you getting involved with other stuff that ain't got nothing to do with religion. That's because the religions that you learned in this world was hypocrisy. You put your religion on Sunday. I remember this song when I was coming up. It kind of summed up your religion. The words of it was a man was talking to his woman about didn't want nobody coming around his house. He said, "Woman, I don't want a soul hanging around my house when I'm not at home." He said, "I don't want your sister coming by because the girl talk too much. And if the preacher want to come visit you, you tell him you'll see him Sunday down in the church because I don't want a soul coming around." And, people do that. As I was growing up, I watched how people that, I grew up in church, And when I got old enough, I left the church that my mother used to make me go to and started hanging out with my buddies and whatnot. Inevitably, their mothers and stuff was into church. And so I went with them. And they'd be cussing and swearing and going on during the week, drinking beer and that kind of stuff. And then when we got to church on Sunday, them same women be there testifying and shouting and going on, talking about they filled with the Holy Ghost. And they get real righteous on Sunday. And then all during the week, they was doing something else. The first time that I other than my mother, now I have to give my mother her dues. And I ain't just saying it because she was my mother, because I didn't have to bring it up. The way she was on Sunday was the way she was all week long. But I mean, I couldn't be like her because she sent me to school where people wasn't like her. You know, I mean, so I learned that I learned to adjust. You understand? And so I mean, that was the mistake my parents made, raising me to believe in God and raising me to be respectful and that kind of thing, and then sending me to a school where people wasn't raised like that. They put me in a community where people was doing some of everything. And from my own experience, uh, I know that ain't gonna work. And so I knew the Honorable Elijah Muhammad had it right when he was talking about how we should have our own schools for our children. The child can't learn one thing at home and then go to school and they telling him something else that's contrary to what you told him at home. That just don't work. But anyway, as I said, this world taught you that religion is for Sunday. But in the teaching that I received, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad me, and he was right. Religion is not what you profess. Religion is what you practice. Religion is your way of life. Everybody has a religion. Most people, they don't know that. But anything and everything that you do on a daily basis, on a habitual basis, that's your religion. Religion is a way of life. And everybody has a way that they conduct themselves in life. That's what way of life is. I mean, you hear people all the time talk about way of life, and if you ask them what are they really saying, they don't know. They just parakeeting what they heard somebody else say. I'm not one of those. I understand what I'm saying. If I don't understand a phrase, I ain't too proud to go and start looking up in the dictionaries and other things to make sure that what I'm intending to communicate is coming across. So I don't want y'all to be like that Cool Hand Luke fella. What he said, what we have here is a failure to communicate. So I don't want no failure to communicate here. I don't want that to break down. Now, if I say that I'm for my people, I mean, it's funny how people think that it's okay for you to go and help a man that's down on the street, or, you know, they pat you on the back for that. If he's a bum or something, and you give him something, and you there trying to just give him a handout, people will smile at you. But if you really try to give him a hand up, then you get stopped by the white police. I know that's true because when I was just blasé through the community and not really caring about the condition of my people, I hardly ever got stopped by the police. I didn't get stopped by the police till I put a Muhammad Speaks up under my arm. Going through my own neighborhood, knocking on doors, asking people would they like a Muhammad Speak. And they would, officers, white officers. And white people that's listening to me, you welcome to chime in and tell me whether or not you hearing something that's a lie. But, you know, I just like to keep it real, man. So it's okay as long as we just giving handouts. But when we really start showing love for one another, that's what those racists among white people and those who profiting from other countries that come over here and get dropped off in the black community to set up their business and make money off of us. in exchange for allowing American businesses to come into their countries and whatnot. Stop me when I lie. When I say that's what's happening, that reciprocity reciprocity means when you scratch my back and I'll scratch yours. That's what that means. America do business in these people's country, and they let them come here and do business in America. And the black community is a bastion of consumers, and they want to keep us that way. Now, I'm not saying all white people got a monkey on them swings, but I'm saying that many of them, they hate to see you and me have any hope to do better. So anytime we see or they see someone who offers us some hope, they get busy. Like they did Marcus Garvey. Marcus Garvey offered hope to our people. They figured out a way to accuse him of mail fraud and deported him. And the UNIA gradually dissipated. So, Dr. Bill Cosby, he offered hope to our people. He started talking to our people and like men, talking to us like men. You know, when you tell a man what he's doing wrong, that's keeping him from progressing, he ain't mad, he happy. A man love for get some advice from another man that, you know, especially if that man done experienced some things that and has made it. Then, you know, he got sense enough to, you know, hey, let me listen to this man and see what he's saying. They don't want us listening to him. So what they do? Bring out all these women accusing him of being immoral. Right? Now, I want you to think for a minute. They said President Obama ain't done nothing. Ain't done nothing. Right? You know, they even mad at him. That's why I have to defend both of them men. I mean, I'd be a fool not to be standing up for somebody who tried to stand up for me. It's just like all them people when W.D. Nim was slandering the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Yeah, W.D. Muhammad. They got out there slandering the messenger. Sitting up talking about he didn't teach true Islam and he didn't do the, what is true Islam? One of y'all come in here and tell me what is true Islam. Even they quote the Prophet Muhammad. The Prophet said, if a Muslim sees something wrong, he should do one of three things or all three. He should hate it in his heart. That's the least that he should do. He should speak out against it. And he should work to change it with his hands. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad saw wrong being done to us by the white people of America, by the white government of America. He hated it in his heart. He spoke out against it. And he worked all his life after knowledge to change it. He didn't just teach us Islam, he showed us Islam. He taught me the 5 pillars of faith. And I added that 6th one that was hidden from you. He taught me that the 5 pillars of faith is the belief that there's only one God whose proper name is Allah. And that the belief in all of his prophets and in all of their scriptures. And he didn't just say that, he taught from all of the scriptures. The belief in the keeping up of prayer. He taught me how to pray. And he told me, you don't have to get on your knees. Get up off your knees. God made man upright. Then why would he want you to get in a position that is not natural for you to supplicate to him? Stand up on your feet and bow your head before God. That's the third pillar, keeping up of prayer. The fourth one is the belief in giving in charity. That does away with something that they tried to put in us. You know what kept us down? What has kept us down? I showed you an example when I was telling you, look, I didn't ask you for no money. And you go to that website, Let's Make Millionaires. I told you, I said, look, if we get enough people, I need about 300,000 of us in Detroit. Remember I said that? If we could just get 300,000 of us in Detroit, then if you're willing to, I told you we put aside, let's just say, we say $20 a week. Or I think I said first $20 a month. If we put up $20 a month, that's $6 million a month. We could make 6 millionaires every month. And to show you that the white man knew exactly what he was making out of us, I didn't even ask you to give no money yet. I just asked you, would you be willing to sign up and be ready if we get ready to do it? Got 300 people. What? And some of them was asking, well, who gonna be first? Worrying about who gonna be first because you that you just want to get yours and quit. Now tell me I'm lying. You see, the only way you gonna change is somebody gonna have to stand up like I'm doing and tell you about yourself. And stop pretending that you all right when they know how sick you are. We some sick people. That's why we can stand back and say that's good for Bill Cosby. And that's show him. Show him what? Because he stood up and told you the truth about how you waste too much money. How he told you the truth about you getting mad because the police shooting your babies down you go all off on the news and get all out there in the street and holler and hoop because some white racist police officer done shot your son down. And then he justifies it because your son had the thing in his hand. The thing he stole. The thing, not that justifies someone killing you, but you gave him an excuse. Where was you when he needed you to teach him? Look here, these people don't love you. You get some knowledge in your head, and so we can make a way for ourselves and open up our own stores. And you don't have to steal. They don't have to say they shot you because you were stealing. And you mad at him for recognizing that even when he said he shoot you in the back of the head, are you aware that his son got murdered and shot in the back of his head? That's why that came out of his mouth, because he's thinking about his own son and not wanting that to happen to none of the rest of us. So, you know, if I just got some coffee here, and if what's in the cup is good for me. Just let's pretend it's anything, milk, anything, and I'm thirsty, water, and I'm thirsty. But if somebody could convince me that that cup that I'm got that water in, that cup nasty, that cup, somebody urinated in that cup before they gave it to you, I wouldn't drink that. You don't have to say, I wouldn't drink it. All you have to do is say, look, I saw so-and-so urinate in that cup and then pour it, the urine out and pour your coffee in there. What am I going to do then? Same thing that they want you to do with people like Dr. Bill Cosby and anybody else who would talk to you and wake you up to the game that's being ran on us. Yeah, I don't need to listen to him. That's what they want you to say. Even telling you that President Obama ain't done nothing for us. And look how many of them, you remember, and I don't mean no harm, but the truth is the truth, man. Tavis and Cornell got on the bus, went out there to help. To help do what? Say and suggest disparaging things about the first black president. There was a time in this country when the majority of the people, even those in government, whenever a man got elected president, they wished him well. They wished him success. Because that's what patriotism will do. You wouldn't have elected him if you didn't think he had the best interests of the country at heart. And so if he was wise enough to convince so many people to trust him to guide the country, then that's a feat within itself. Then he deserves the chance and the support of the majority of those in government because he got the majority of the people's votes to get him in there. Do you understand? But all that's done changed. Even the way we practice law, even the stuff they bringing up on Dr. Cosby, you notice they want to change law now. This woman got on there and said he ought to be willing to set aside the prescription. You know, the 7 years that you have to file something. He ought to just set that aside and let these women come on in here and have their day in court with him. In what court system do you want him to come into? Is this the court system that they just said it was okay for so many unarmed, not just grown black men, but teenagers and children? It's okay for people to just shoot our people down whenever they. If it's okay to murder us, it's sure okay to lie and take all our money in court. Well, frankly, I'm getting sick of y'all. I'm talking to you white people. And you're going to find out that my being sick of you means something. Just like my offer of salvation to you means something. You keep on. Just keep on. You gonna wish you took my advice. Now, let me tell you. I'm going to let you hear some things out their own mouth. Where's the Daily Caller located, brother? What state? It's in D.C.? You believe? Sound like some of them women that say they believe he raped them. I ain't never heard nobody say they believe somebody raped them. You ever heard such foolishness? I woke up this morning, I believe you raped me. And the media, they let them get away with it. In D.C. Okay, the Daily Caller. You remember I told you about the white man in the South? The one thing about the white man in the South, he does man up. You know, if he don't, however he feel about you, you know it. He tell you, look, nigga, you step in that yard there, you gonna be one dead nigga. And he be meaning that. On the other hand, if he say, look, I ain't got no problem with John now. I ain't got no problem with him. He said, and if he shake your hand and befriend you, 9 times out of 10, he mean that. You know, and he mean it not just in front of you, but even when he behind closed doors. You see? So, you know, like it's a conservative newspaper, ain't it? The Daily Caller. You know, conservatives are Republicans. But even they don't go for some things. You know, he figure he got enough truth on his side that he ain't got to come out there and just, I'm not talking about these people that call themselves conservatives under the name of racism. I mean, you know, racists calling themselves conservatives. Clint Eastwood is a conservative. And like he said, yeah, it's a lot of us here. He said, but we don't go around hot dogging it. Huh? Now, you know, you got to be pretty dumb to think that just because you are a different color than somebody, that somehow your color make you better than somebody. You ain't too bright. I'm just telling you, you can't be too bright. But anyway, let me, so I have a lot of things that I want to share with you this evening, but I have to speak up for these brothers, President Obama and Dr. Bill Cosby. And I want you.
Excuse me, Senator?
Yes.
Oh, this is bringing you up. We've just been on Comcast, and we had an audio issue on on Radio Live. So
You say we having a what?
we have a technical issue for television. So we're working on that through our live radio.
Are we on the internet?
Through TV's website?
Yeah. Are you all on the internet?
No.
Why not?
The sound is not. We got video. If we're on internet or on or whatnot, we have an issue with our audio. But yes, I had connected. But
When did the audio go out?
a couple hours ago.
Well, y'all need to hurry up and get that straight. How's ours, brother? Ours is fine. All right. Well, y'all make sure you go on YouTube /New Nation of Islam, and you can get us live streaming on there. And I want you to hear something here. Like I told you, and like the messenger told you, when he was talking about white people, he said some of them here and there are now speaking out against the evil doing of themselves. And he said, these white people, Allah will show some mercy and will delay their doom to some future years yet to come. You know, when you go to repenting, then it's immediate that whatever was going to happen to you because of your wrongdoing, Allah stops it. And if that repenting is sincere, then that judgment don't never come back to you. But if you decide to go back to that, it's still there, like a suspended sentence. Do you understand? Okay. You know, but never has Allah destroyed people that was asking his forgiveness. And never has Allah refused to forgive someone who asked. So I want you to look at this and listen, and then you will see my point. Now, I think his name is Ed Schultz. He was showing something today, countering something that people been trying to say about President Obama. Now, I want to say something else to you too. They play with words on you and I. They say he leads from behind. Most people don't know what that means. So you don't know what it means. He tell you that it means something that it really don't mean. All leaders lead from behind. You can't be a good leader until you are a good follower. You know what makes the presidency of the United States such a powerful office? Do you know what makes the prophets of God so powerful? And how you better be careful how you deal with any of them? Because there's continuity. The next one never comes and negates what the first one, the last one started. He continues that with more. You notice, even though President Obama did not agree with the war in Iraq, when he first took office, he didn't just give the order to shut that stuff down. He gradually, he continued it and brought it to a point where he could shut it down. And he did so. You understand? If one president makes an agreement with a nation, the next president, if they want that office, if they want their words to mean something to those who they deal with, they can't just have each time a president change, policy change. If you're going to change the policy, you have to do that like sunrise and sunset. You phase it out. You don't just come in there talking about, oh, well, that don't go no more. Oh, so that office ain't got no more continuity than 4 years. And the word that comes from that office don't have no more continuity than 4 years. Well, then that office ain't worth nothing. You'll notice, you take Jesus's words, even when Moses said, stone people, stone the adulterer and stone the adulteress. Jesus never said, don't stone them. He simply reminded them that all of you done did sin, and the wages of sin is death. Where do we start stoning at? So he said, okay, let him among you who is without you throw the first stone. Right? But he never did contradict Moses, did he? He was leading from behind. Is that right? He didn't come in front of Moses. He came behind Moses. You're going to see that President Obama is leading from behind. Who should a president seek advice from? If he's smart, he will rely on what he saw work for other presidents. Huh? Well, when he saw the country in this bad condition, he compared the condition now, at least in 2008, to the last depression. and he saw what I think President Roosevelt was the president, and how he got a boon for the economy by starting to rebuild the infrastructure and all that kind of thing. And so he borrowed some of that wisdom, leading from what? Behind. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad, he didn't just go out there on his own. When Master Farad Muhammad wasn't here no more, he remembered what Master Farad Muhammad taught him, and he led by following. Do you understand? Every time you go from, any of y'all got a TomTom? A GPS? Well, even when you jump in the vehicle and start going somewhere that you don't know where you're going, you leading your family from behind that GPS thing, aren't you? Okay, let's look at history here. You know how doctors heal you? Doctors look at your symptoms and whatnot, and they say, is this hurting? And do you have a fever? Does he have a? And they think about history. What happened when they saw somebody else that had the same symptoms you have? Then what did he do? He prescribed the same medicine, didn't he? And he say, we will try this. Well, why? You don't know if it might not work, right? But we gonna try this. And if this don't work, I want you to come back in a few days for another check, and then I'll see how you doing there, right? But he's leading from studying history. History is behind you, leading from behind. History is the best rewarder of which way to go, of what to do and what not to do. Anytime you get a man come in there trying to ignore history, that man ain't got no business in the position of leadership. So, but they say all these little things to you because they know they done dumbed you down. You come on in these classes with me, I'll wise you up. And you'll realize that the ones who trying to get you to, before the United States became blue states and red states instead of the United States, and whenever an election was over, the Republicans and Democrats came together to support whichever man was elected and implement that man had with his cabinet. The reason he has a cabinet is because he gets to pick so many people to advise him. A congressman don't have no cabinet. He might have a shoebox, but he ain't got no cabinet. Just what a cabinet is, just that. Whatever comes up, you can look in your cabinet and get some advice on how to best handle that. But the decision rests with you. And whenever you get advice from your cabinet, it's not like the cabinet is running the country. You're running it. The president is running the country. He picked his helpers. And if they give him good advice, it shows how wise he is to have picked such wise people. Do you understand? All praises due to Allah. So I want you to, you know why white people don't come in here and say nothing to me no matter what I say? The fact that I can stand up and say the things that I say tells them that God had to be with me. They didn't teach me this. And you didn't know this. So where did I get it from? Okay. So I want you to hear this and see this. Now this is and I'm gonna, once we get through showing you the lies that they tell on President Obama, we're going to go to the lies that's being told on Dr. Cosby.
MSNBC. Welcome back to the Ed Show. Well, there is trouble in Putin's paradise. With the ruble in a free fall and gas prices plunging, it looks like some Republicans might want to rethink these comments from earlier this year. Putin decides what he wants to do, and he does it in half a day. That's right. He makes a decision, and he executes it quickly. Then everybody reacts. That's what you call a leader. President Obama.
That's not what's called a leader. A leader does not make hasty decisions. You know, what you think the lesson of the tortoise and the hare was? Slow and steady. Fast and careless. I'll tell you what. You ever had to take a trip and pack fast? When you got where you're going, you had to buy something. If you took your time and packed, when you got where you was going, you had everything you needed. Oh, just listen.
You got to think about it. He's got to go over it again. He's got to talk to more people about it. The world is never in a better.
I want all of you all to look at all these people that's praising Vladimir Putin, and remember them when they come up in front of you, talking about they want to be your president. If he got that much reverence for Putin, maybe he need to go to Russia. Is that right? Hold them to it. Every one of them that had Sarah Palin, remember? She was on the Putin bandwagon, wasn't she? Now, ain't you glad you didn't have nobody like that as your a heartbeat away from the presidency? The vice president is always just a heartbeat away from being the president. You know what that means, right? The minute the president's heart stopped beating, if he die in office, who's going to be the president? Yeah. So they are what? A heartbeat away from being the president. Now, would you have wanted someone that thinks that the office of president should not be respected to be in that office? The last thing you would expect from someone who wants to be president of the country is for them to be ridiculing the person that has that office. Right? But just listen.
Place when you have a weak, indecisive American president, and Russia is a symptom of that weakness. President Obama's weak foreign policy is the real problem. It's a tragedy that we're not even led, that we have such a weakling for a president. Well,
Yeah, it's a tragedy that all of them signed the pledge that Grover Norquist put in front of them, and now they're reading their speech. They give them talking points. You know, they talking, they lips is moving, but the people who gave them their little $1 million or a few $1 million that they made them all millionaires, you know. And that is the prize for signing the pledge and for doing it. You remember what Grover told them? He said, yeah, but if they sign the pledge, they get to rule, they get to govern. And I helped make that happen. Is that what he said? Yeah. Your government is for sale, white folks. You sitting up looking at poor black people, hating us and misusing us, and the white folks that look like you, people that look like you, done took over your country, and you ain't had sense enough to see it. That could care less about your country. So but listen,
Turns out good old President Obama was right in assuming sanctions were the best course of action to take against Putin's invasion of Ukraine. In fact, Russia's currency has plunged 18% against the dollar in the last 2 days alone. The ruble could end up as the worst performing currency of the year. Even worse than Ukraine's sanctions work, folks. That's the bottom line. The sanctions imposed on the United States and Europe cut off Russia's banks and oil companies from the credit markets. The president had talked about that. This prevented financial institutions from lending to Russia for a month or more at a time. The impact of the sanctions scared off foreign investors. However, those weren't the only criticisms Republicans had.
People are looking at Putin as one who wrestles bears and drills for oil. They look at our president as one who wears mom jeans and equivocates and bloviates.
And it's giving people to the employment goals in America. It also has 58% job growth. But I'm taking the dude, isn't he? Putin can drill for oil all he wants, but global oversupply has sent oil prices plunging. You're feeling it at the pump.
Remember, we were saying about the oil shortage was a hoax? What is doing with the oversupply of oil now? Tell us anything. I'm going to take you to see some dinosaurs. Huh? Tell you that that if it wasn't for the magnetics, the electromagnetic sphere around the earth, the microwaves from the sun would cook us. Ain't that what they've been lying, telling us? Yet they sent you saw Apollo 13 went out there with skin on it as thin as two layers of paper foil, flying in space, and they didn't get burned up outside of the electromagnetic sphere around the earth. But he wants you and me to think that, I mean, if you tell the child is something out there waiting if you get out there in the wrong vehicle, you ain't got to worry about him trying to get out there. They don't want you and me to ever compete. They don't want us to ever be anything other than a tool and a slave. A tool is what you use to accomplish things that you want to accomplish. That's what they use. They used us, and they use us to accomplish things that they want to accomplish. And they give us, they kept us with less than nothing for so long that when they gave us nothing, we thought we had something. You get the average black person that make $50,000 a year, they think they really into it. And a white man tell you ain't no way he can live off of that. He need $20,000 a month. You want $20,000 a year, and think you're doing all right. I'm telling you, they, you know, if you, the one thing that I want you to remember is that can't nobody give you freedom. That is an illusion. Even your slavery, they couldn't hold you if you unite and go on and free yourself. If you asking a man to give you your freedom, you have already defeated yourself because you think he has it in his power to give it to you. You think you need it from him. You waiting on him to tell you, okay, I guess I'll let you go. Well, if he can let you go, he can say, I think I'll take you back. They've been tricking us I mean, they've tricked us coming and going. And it's time now that you know the truth. And the only way you know that I'm telling you the truth is I have to get out here in front of them and tell you these things and let them do me like they do so many others of our black leaders. Let them challenge me on what I'm saying. You know why they don't want to challenge me? They want you to think I'm nobody. But ain't no, if I'm nobody, well then, why don't they make quick work of me and just come in here and show how smart they are? You ask me what, you know, when you got more sense than somebody, it don't take long to show that that person don't know what they're talking about. You just ask them a question about what they saying that you know they don't know the answer to. You heard him come in here and ask me a question about what I say that I don't know the answer to. I can ask him questions about what he say that he can't answer. That's why he don't come in here no more. Right? Okay, now you listen to this, the man telling on him now.
For good, right? Last year, 1/3 of Russia's exports came from crude oil. According to Deutsche Bank, Russia needs about $100 per barrel to budget. Today, Brent crude ended below $60 a barrel. This is also a huge blow to Putin's economy. As you see here, the ruble and oil prices pretty much go hand in hand. But of course, Obama, he did all the wrong things because he didn't have enough testosterone for the Republicans. Joining me tonight is Congressman John Garamendi of California. Congressman, is there, good to have you with us tonight, and I appreciate it. Is there really a better example of how wrong the Republicans have been on the international economic front? They were all wrong, and it was all geared towards taking down our president.
Well, that's certainly true, Ed, and we could probably find a half a dozen examples of that inconsistency and frankly, bad logic. Clearly, Putin.
You notice he didn't even hesitate or change the expression on his face when he said our president. Huh? All right. Now, I want you to see something else here. I got to show you these things so that you don't think that I'm tripping. I want you to see something.
National Security Item 263 was a decision document that basically summarized Kennedy's approval to bring out the 17,000 or so U.S. forces that were in Vietnam at that time. The first 1,000 would be withdrawn by the end of 1963. The remainder would be out by the end of 65. And that was a formal presidential decision. It was the policy of the United States on the day he died. That's, in fact, no longer, I think, historically controversial.
The most important indication of the thinking of JFK about his policy toward Vietnam was that the day before he was shot down, he had a conversation with his National Security Council staff member who worked on Southeast Asia, Michael Forrestal, in which he said that he wanted to initiate a complete, thorough review of U.S. policy toward Vietnam, and that the review had to include or involve the whole question of whether the United States should be there at all.
Perhaps even more startling than Kennedy's plan to withdraw personnel from Vietnam was his secret effort to engage Fidel Castro in a dialogue.
John F. Kennedy was responsible for some of the most infamous acts of aggression against Cuba, and yet secretly he was, at the time of his death, pursuing an accommodation with Fidel Castro. Kennedy's approach to Castro was buried in secret documents that were in a vault at the Kennedy Library until I asked for the entire file, which was titled contacts with Cuban leaders to be declassified in the late 1990s. Could the United States actually negotiate directly with Castro? Top State Department aides were saying the United States won't talk to Cuba unless Cuba throws the Soviet Union out and promises, guarantees that it will stop screwing around in the rest of Latin America, promoting revolution against U.S. interests. And Kennedy actually took a very different position. He told George Bundy, his national security advisor, I don't think we should box Fidel Castro into a corner. I don't think we should make preconditional demands for talking to him that he may not be able to meet.
My father, he repeatedly told Fidel Castro that I trust Kennedy. I trust that he will not invade your country, and we will have another 6 years because I believe that he will be re-elected. While U.S. efforts to destabilize Fidel Castro's government continued, Kennedy worked through back channels to explore the possibility of talks. In November of 1963, a breakthrough seemed near, and Kennedy sent word to Castro that he was open to negotiating an agreement.
He sent his own emissary to talk to Fidel Castro, a French journalist named Jean Daniel, who had come to Washington in October, met with the president, and when the president found out that he was on his way to Cuba, he basically sent a message to Fidel Castro with Jean Daniel.
Si vous voyez Gaston, vous le voyez. Oui, oui, oui. Il n'y a qu'une seule chose qui m'intéresse. J'ai des tas d'ambassadeurs, tout le monde va le voir, bien évidemment.
Can they see that writing there? Or do I need to read it? Just a moment, I'll put it back. Say what? Well, I'm going. He asked, are you going to see Castro? This is this man, when he was younger, was talking to President Kennedy, and he was having a secret conversation with the president, and he's expounding on what Kennedy said to him. He asked, President Kennedy asked him, are you going to see Castro? And he said, yes, yes, I said.
Gaston, vous le voyez. Oui, oui, oui. Il n'y a qu'une seule chose.
Then the president said to him, I hear all sorts of opinions about Castro. I have a lot of ambassadors.
J'ai des tas d'ambassadeurs, tout le monde va le voir, vient de me raconter. Faites-vous.
The president went on talking. He said, but if you could tell me what he's really like, that's what interests me. And the president had learned that he couldn't trust a lot of the people who was bringing him information about the man. They were worried about how it would sound politically. Then the president said, tell Castro, he said, tell him that I don't care that he's a communist.
Qu'il soit communiste, je m'en fous. Tito.
And he said, Tito of Yugoslavia is a communist. And the president was telling him, Tito of Yugoslavia is a communist. Suko Torre of Guinea, too. I don't care. The president told him, I don't care about that.
Les communistes, c'est Couturé. Communiste, c'est Couturé, c'était la Guinée. Je m'en fous. Mais.
Excuse me. He goes on to say, But if Castro remains an ally of the Soviets and so close to us, he said, never.
Qu'il soit allié à l'Union soviétique et si près de chez nous, ça jamais.
Never, meaning he will never let Cuba get no nuclear missiles and stuff over there. That's what he care about. You ain't gonna get no nuclear weapons that close to the U.S. Huh? All right. Now, listen to this.
And Jean Daniel was giving this message to Fidel Castro on November 22nd, 1963. Castro himself was saying that Kennedy might become a historic president, one of the first presidents who understood that the world was a diverse place and that the United States could live with communist regimes peacefully. And so they were talking about this when dramatically an aide came in and said, the President of the United States has been shot.
Now it says, now John Daniel, he said, yes, I was with Castro, and I can tell you that the impression he gave me was that he lost a partner. Him about to work out a deal to get along with each other. And just listen. And it's not too strong of a word. Castro felt that he had lost a partner in peace, in peace initiative and business. And he said, and I don't think that that's too strong of a word to use.
Castro turned to Jean Daniel and said, there goes your mission of peace.
When he got the news that Kennedy had been assassinated, he said, well, there goes your mission of peace. Now, President Kennedy had already set in motion to get diplomatic relationships restored between Cuba and the U.S. Now, look at this.
Shift in U.S. policy towards Cuba in half a century, and coordinated broadcasts airing simultaneously.
What happens when she gets serious?
This is a story of legitimate wrongdoing.
NBC, The Rachel Maddow Show, weeknights at 9.
It is the biggest shift in U.S. policy towards Cuba in half a century, and coordinated broadcasts airing simultaneously today. President Obama and Cuban President Raul Castro announced new steps to reestablish diplomatic relations and end decades of hostility between these two nations.
We will end an outdated approach that for decades has failed to advance our interests, and instead we will begin to normalize relations between our two countries. Through these changes, we intend to create more opportunities for the American and Cuban people and begin a new chapter among the nations of the Americas. I do not expect the changes I'm announcing today to bring about a transformation of Cuban society overnight. But I am convinced that through a policy of engagement, we can more effectively stand up for our values and help the Cuban people help themselves as they move into the 21st century.
Under this breakthrough new...
Now, he's not doing something that presidents wouldn't do. Even when he established that Affordable Health Care Act, other presidents had tried to do that. He got it done. The diplomatic relationship between the U.S. and Cuba is now being restored. That's what John Kennedy was going to do. They didn't say he was a stupid president. They said he was a smart president. And he was right about Vietnam. And that he wanted to end that foolishness. Huh? Well, why President Obama got to be stupid for doing something that they said a smart president was going to do? Because he's black. They're going to really be mad now. Let's see. Let's see here. I think this one, you get it. Let's see. Give me a minute then. Wish I had my, what you call it here. Let's see if it, I'll take it on this one. But before I do that, I want to make sure I don't lose what I got on here. Y'all give me a minute here. Okay, now I know what it is. Let's see. I like to add a little spice to everything. Just a moment. Yeah. Yeah, they're gonna really be mad now. They's already mad, so it don't make no sense. Okay. Y'all check this out.
November 6, 2012. I'm gonna treat my country well. Review the facts, it's plain to see. Just do the math and you'll agree. Did a job no one could. Made the tough decisions like he said he would.
Was that a tough decision to do what he did just now with Cuba? Was it a tough decision to hold to his guns on that sanctions and all that kind of stuff when everybody was trying to get him to go and commit some troops somewhere? What about when many of them who was talking about the bin Laden thing was advising him not to do that, right? But he took an oath to protect the country and to uphold the Constitution. You see, on one hand, they say he's indecisive, right? Leading from behind. Well, how can he be the king and leading from behind too? Just throw it up against the wall and see if it'll stick. Just charge him with anything and see if you can make it stick. Because, you know, he's not playing into the role they need him to play into, so they're going to make a straw president out of him. Don't look at the real man. Look at what they're trying to make you see. So
much good. This re-election, let's continue in a forward direction. I'm voting for O-B-A-M-A, for President of the USA. On election day, that's what you gotta say. O-B-A-M-A, take us forward. For O-B-A-M-A, for President of the USA.
you see all of them different color young people. That's what they're really mad about. They ain't gonna be able to play us against each other no more. You ought to call them what they is. They ain't conservative. They're racist. Just want to keep everybody at each other so they can keep raking in the money, selling guns and bullets and all this stuff to help you kill each other. And just make sure you keep producing babies so that you can pass that wickedness and that hatred on to the next generation so they can make money off of them too. And we go O-B-A-M-A to B-I-D-E-N. That's right. That's right. He the next one. That's who you need to put in there next. I don't care how mad you get mad all you want. But that would be your best bet.
That's what you gotta say. O-B-A-M-A, take us forward. Lead us forward. Move us forward. Look how far we've come. There is more to be done. Take us forward. Lead us forward. Move us forward. Far we've come. There is more to be done. Take us forward. President of the USA. On election day, that's what you gotta say. My ballot will say, oh, B-A-M, my Barack Obama, Barack Obama. My ballot will say, oh, B-A-M, voting for O-B-A-M-A, President of the USA. On election day, that's what you gotta say. O-B-A-M-A, take us forward.
So we are, you know, continuity is a good thing. It's always good to have continuity. You know, no matter what arena you go into, if it is a mature arena, there's continuity. You understand? People try to put an end to an idea with a bullet, and they see that even though the man, President Kennedy, was murdered, his idea has come to pass. Ain't that something? As the old saying, there's nothing so powerful as an idea whose time has come. Most people don't even think about the time. Don't think about the statement. It says an idea whose time has come. In order for words to come to fruition, words have to become flesh. And once it ceases and becomes a who, its time has come. So praise is due to Allah. So we now, I think that I've shown the point about President Obama, decent man. You know, I remember the messenger said that the true Christian is a Muslim. That means one who followed the teachings of Jesus. I'm following the teachings of Jesus now. And I'm living in a country that started off as an enemy to Muhammad. And by the time it was over with, they was declaring Elijah Muhammad Day in the very city that they called him a hate teacher by a white mayor who's was one of the most powerful men in America. Mayor Richard Daley. Didn't nobody mess with Mayor Daley. But he declared Elijah Muhammad Day in the city of Chicago because the Honorable Elijah Muhammad transcended all of the gossip and the lies and stuck to what Allah taught us, which was people like you want to be treated. And I mean, that old foolishness about, I remember some of them in the nation, they go borrow money they say borrowing money from the devil, and then wouldn't pay their bills. And the messenger put it in the paper, pay your bills. Because he was tired of white folks coming to him, telling him that some of his followers borrowing one pay. They knew who to take. Because if they loaned him anything, they knew that money was good. And they knew Muslims pay their bills. That's right. And so he treated people, as the book says, love your enemies and do good to those that despitefully use you and abuse you. We've been despitefully used and abused by white people. And we think that's ugly. Then we don't go and do that to them, lest we justify what they did. No, I don't have to abuse him. I don't have to do nothing to him that I didn't want done to me. Didn't say as men do to you, do that to them. It says as you would like men to do to you, do that to them. And so that is the teachings that Jesus brought. Who follows it any better than me and my followers? I have yet to, just because I don't like you, got to cuss you out. I ain't got to cuss you out. I don't like something you doing. Well, then I tell you that I don't like what you're doing and you need to correct yourself. If you say why, I can show you in the word of God why. If you think that I'm doing something wrong, I can show you in the word of God that I'm only following God's word. That's why all of them that was calling me MF and all that, I proved to them. It wasn't me you was calling that. I wasn't doing what I pleased. I was doing what Allah's word said do. So you was calling him an MF. You gonna answer for that. It's just like that woman talking about that Dr. Cosby gave her a cappuccino and she tasted and she felt a little strange. But what she drinks some more for then? Lying. I'm gonna let you see that interview. Just lying. Who drinks more when they feel a little strange from that one? The first thing you would ask somebody if you felt strange after taking one sip of something to say, hey, wait a minute, what you put in here? You don't drink some more and then like to go crazy and then go, you are MF. What is that? I mean, 1 minute you over there because you seeking help. And then you feel strange. If you trusted that person enough to go over there, the last thing you thinking is that they would give you something that poison you. And you would tell them, hey, I'm not feeling right. Something ain't right. You wouldn't say, you're MF. Well, what is that about? You know, when people lie, a lot of people say, well, they should have known that wasn't going to work. How in the world a person who got a mind full of lies is going to know the truth? But you trying to make sense out of crazy. If they knew the truth, they would know that ain't nobody going to believe that lie. But somebody who's kind of dense, you know, when people don't like you or jealous of you, or like, you find a lot of people, you find out what's in people, that when they hear something about somebody that they don't like, it can be something that's just as far-fetched as I don't know what. And they'll say, oh yeah, now I know it. I know it. What did you know? Nothing. Didn't know nothing. But I'm gonna let you hear something here. And you just listen at all of this. Let me see here. I want to what was that attorney's name? Ulrich? Let's see here. Let's get that. I want you to see this. Now.
Okay. Okay. Thank you for coming today. And we will have copies for everyone of our statements.
I'll be making a statement, and then each of the alleged victims will be making a statement, and then I'll take questions. They will not be taking questions. Last month, it was reported in the press that over 20 women had come forward to allege that Bill Cosby had either drugged or sexually assaulted them or committed both acts of misconduct against them. Many of those alleged victims contacted me to determine if they had any legal rights that they could assert against Mr. Cosby. Unfortunately, with a rare exception, I had to inform these women that it was too late for them to file a lawsuit against Mr. Cosby because of the statute of limitations. This statute of limitations is an arbitrary time period set by law during which a victim must file a lawsuit or be forever barred from pursuing it. It varies from state to state, but for most women who allege that Cosby assaulted them, it is simply too late for them to have their day in court, unless they were a victim of child sexual abuse by Cosby, in which case, in some states, such as California, they are still able to pursue a lawsuit even decades later when they are adults. For many of these alleged victims, it is frustrating to hear that it is simply too late to obtain a legal remedy. And for supporters of Bill Cosby, it's also upsetting to them that Cosby is being accused, but no jury will decide if he's telling the truth or not. Today, I'm here to propose two new solutions to this public dilemma and a way to determine if Bill Cosby is a saint or a sexual predator. The statute of limitations is what lawyers call an affirmative defense.
Now, we don't need to go to trial to find out if he's a saint. He ain't never claimed to be no saint. Now, did he? What that's got to, what's he doing talking like that? Oh, so anybody that's innocent of something they're accused of got to be a saint. Now you, look, understand something. Why did she interject that? Because a lot of people think a lot or highly of Dr. Cosby. I mean, look at these people. The people, you all at Spelman, y'all ought to be ashamed of yourself. All them colleges and universities that he's did so much for and donated his time, you know they didn't have to pay him to come there and speak. He did it because he believes in education for our people. And he's did many things that many people laud him for. They praise him for it. He ain't no saint. That's what they want to show you, that he ain't all that. He ain't what you think he is. I'm pretty sure that you could find things where you saw in the reportrayal of John Kennedy that he did some things that wasn't too upright, huh? But I noticed they're not trying to magnify that. And now this man, they couldn't find nothing on him, so they want to make up something now. Just listen, and you will see that these people, it's all about just demoralizing or making him or defaming his character, just like what I told you about this cup of coffee. If they can make him look like he was immoral, oh the man, one gonna even say she took the blue pill. How many of y'all saw The Matrix? Okay, you take the blue pill and go on back to sleep and keep on being deceived, right? She's telling on herself there. A deceiver sitting up to my, she took a blue pill. But anyway, that's all right. You just wait, just look at him and listen to him.
The only reason that Mr. Cosby is able to avoid dealing with this in a court of law is because of the statute of limitations.
What's she mean? The only reason? She's a lawyer. You know why this statute of limitations was set up by those in the law, circle of law, judges and stuff? So that there would be an end to lawsuits. If you ain't brought it in 7 years, you obviously ain't got nothing. But now she wanna ignore the rules and say, look, when he get 99, we gonna bring some stuff up that happened back in 1980, 1982, and you got all these old biddies coming out here now. Excuse me for saying that. I should have said that, because that defeats the purpose. But you said it about these in a little while. But, you know, because the Daily Caller got the skinny on them, man. And if the Daily Caller got the skinny on them, what's CNN and these other Fox News, whoever, did Fox put some on that too? Well, I don't know if they did, because I know Glenn Beck accused him of raping Bill Cosby. The AP and what's the name now? But CNN been running that foolishness. How come they didn't dig into these people's past and see whether or not their character could be believed in something that they saying happened 30 years ago? Huh? Why didn't they bother to look into the character? You know, that's an old saying. You know, if somebody bring you news, you know, consider the source of it. Check the source out first before you go run with it. Right? Now, just listen. Now, one other thing, you have to remember something. Do anybody know of any other press conference that this attorney has had? Was that her first press conference? Huh? With other people who accused him? Well, I'm not talking about is that her first rodeo. I'm talking about is this the first one with these women that's been accusing Dr. Cosby. Now let's go to the heart of the thing. When you ever seen a team when they start a game put their second string in first? Who put in first? They start with they call them the first string. It's their best players, right? So these obviously are her best witnesses, right? What'd you think? You don't lead off with the worst, you lead off with the best, don't you? Okay, so we need to pay good attention to these, right? Okay.
But if he is so confident that he has done nothing wrong, then he could waive, meaning not assert it, in a court of law. Then his alleged victims would have an opportunity.
Did you hear what she just said? If he's so confident that he have done nothing wrong, he could waive his rights to not to be not dragged in there because somebody on a whim decided they wanted to try to get some money out of it. He could waive his rights and come in there and prove that he ain't guilty. It's not up to him to prove that he ain't guilty. It's up to you to prove that he is. And she brought her first team out there. Huh? It's the first string you looking at here. And while I'm sitting there wiping, she been wiping ever since she said that. I mean, look at this one on the left here. That's the Shalon Lasher. So keep your eye on the one on your, it'll be on your, I guess your left, right? Okay. Watch her sitting there and just wipe.
Allegations dealt with on their merits. Bill Cosby would have an opportunity to address these allegations in a court of law. And the victims and Mr. Cosby would have an opportunity to have a judge and a jury decide who should be believed. In other words, for any woman who claims that she is a victim, Bill Cosby could agree to waive the statute of limitations and invite the accusers to sue. Then Bill Cosby accusers would have an opportunity.
How many people do you know of that's that dumb? I mean, waive your right and let anybody who want to come out the closet and accuse you and run the court and defend yourself. And she's saying that with a straight face. And you ask her, would you advise your client if you was Mr. Cosby, would you advise him to do that? Now you see why Jesus said, woe to you lawyers. for you have taken away the key of knowledge. You know what the key of knowledge is? The understanding of knowledge. Why didn't she tell you why that statute of limitation, that prescription give you so much time to learn? Why didn't she tell you why that was established? People could come up claiming something whenever and talking about it. If they see you got money and got a chance, you're going to see what it's about in a minute. Because she's going to tell him how much she want him to put aside. Just listen.
To go before a judge and a jury, and everybody wins. In short, Cosby could and should agree that he would waive and give up the statute of limitations defense. He could open the window, resolve these issues, as was done with the Catholic Church cases in California, which involved allegations of sexual abuse by priests. There, the legislature and the governor.
There wasn't no doubt about no sexual abuse or no priest. Some of them had already confessed. That man ain't confessed that he bothered none of them women. And when you listen to him, you pretty soon learn that he didn't do nothing to them. They sitting up there talking about what they think he did and all that. And it's one question that ain't nobody bothered to ask. Now, they'll ask it now after I tell you about it. What kind of drug did he give you? You say he drugged you, didn't you? How did you, what, did you go to the doctor? Have you been drugged? Don't you go take a test to see what kind of drug somebody gave you? You notice, all I'm saying, he drugged me. Well, ain't nobody said what he gave him. I mean, I got some Benadryl right here. I remember I took 2 of them before I stood up to talk at Savior's Day. Was it 2000 and I think it was 2012. And it took about, I had taken them about 30 minutes before I got, you know, before it got time for me to stand up and speak. And when I felt them kick in, I said, man, I think I done took too much of this stuff. Because, you know, I felt kind of half weak, you know, half high. You know, and so I know that what you call you know, maybe taking 2 of them. Maybe I had it didn't do nothing but give me, you know, feeling of high, sleepy, you know, and then it quickly passed. I mean, I didn't fall out on you. You didn't even know that I had nothing, you know, but it did stop my nose from running. And so, you know, but what they talking about? If you took something that made you pass out, well, good gracious, when you did wake up, ain't some of that stuff still in your system? Any of y'all that know something about medication or whatever, ain't some of it still in you? A urine test will tell something, won't it? Didn't nobody say I told them that I told the cab, or I told my friend to take me to the doctor? And all these models, ain't nobody put the word on bill. Huh? I mean, he spending all this time and energy to make people pass out. But ain't none of them coming back saying, look, I was invited over there, and you know what he did? And they put the word on you, man. But none of them put the word on nobody. They were scared. A lady that set up and cock her head to one side and call you MF was scared. Okay, just a moment. Just listen.
opened the window and allowed many victims of sexual abuse whose cases were previously barred by the statute of limitations to sue if they did so within the new one-year period offered to them by that law, which was passed for that purpose. This way, victims in the church could have their day in court, and many did. Under our proposal, the alleged victims could present their claims and his defenses. The public deserves to know if Mr. Cosby is a saint or a sexual.
No, the public already know. He said he didn't do that. Well, now you say, well, you don't have no proof of it. Yes, you do. You're just some of you are just too full of hatred and too full of dislike to recognize that your greatest proof is, out of all of them women that claim he did that to them, none of them never filed a charge and had him arrested. There's no record of him being arrested for nothing like that. There's your proof. You should be asking them, where is their proof of what they saying? I mean, your mouth ain't no prayer book. He'll come out there and he raped me. When? What? He drugged me. What drug did he use? He drugged him and ain't nobody said what kind of drug he used on him or not. He said it was an antihistamine that my nose was running, and I asked him, he gave me an antihistamine. That was what was that about? You remember that letter that the one model said that she was approached and offered $15,000 to try to get a seduce him and get some pictures of him and some of his sperm. She says she been offered the casting couch and some of everything. Ain't none of them talked about it. Notice ain't nobody asked them about the casting couch. Didn't they? Just let them come on there and say all kind of things about Dr. Cosby, but never check their character. I mean, as far as we know, Bill Cosby's character is good. We don't know nothing about theirs. Okay.
Predator. This can best be accomplished by providing a window of opportunity so that all alleged victims can come forward and have their day in court. Mr. Cosby should have an opportunity to defend himself.
All them people that's claiming they are victims, they had a chance to have their day in court. And none of them never did. The prescription on it ran 7 years, according to what they claimed. They had 7 years to bring that. One of them, a couple of them, I think, said they went back to see some of his shows with their friend. She wanted to go back and show him she was all right and doing fine. Instead of taking her friends, how come she didn't take the police with her? Now I want to come up here and, I mean, she's sitting there still wiping. What's she crying about after all this? What is that about? Look. The stuff that happened to me when I was a lawyer. Don't make me shed no tears now. I'm a grown man, ain't that little boy no more. You know, even if I talked about it with some of them who guilty, I wouldn't be sitting up there crying. I ain't got to cry. But I know they're sick just like everybody else that's been over here in this experience of 400 years. All of us sick. All these people want is money. They ain't thinking about sitting up there crying. Won't go cry yourself up on somebody. No. Yeah, no, you don't get no, you know, that's too much acting they doing there.
A judge and jury should decide. Everyone's rights are protected, and in this way, the truth.
Michael Brown's rights wasn't protected. Trayvon Martin's rights wasn't protected. Huh? Ain't that a laugh? If you really wanted to protect our rights, you'd get all these white policemen out of the black community and put black officers in there. I ain't saying don't police. I'm saying go police your people and let black police officers police us. At least when I get stopped by a black officer, the last thing I'm worried about is whether he's a racist. And even some of the worst black officers didn't pull their gun out on me when they was talking to me. Now, what is their objection to taking all these white officers out of the black community and putting black ones in there? They got black officers. Why don't you just have the black officer patrol the black community? Why do you need to put all these white officers down in our community? So you can keep your prisons full? So you can trump up charges on them that's false and accuse them just like you tried to accuse the captains, that one of the captain's daughters. You remember that lady that was filming them? They erased her camera, erased her film, and then said she tried to run over one. Till they brought it back out. Her son knew how to retrieve it. Allah gonna fix you. You watch what I tell you. The first thing I had to do is let you know that we know what you've been doing. Get them little youngsters out there knowing that they was, most of them, they hotheads. You know, easily provoked. That's what I mean. The youngster get out there and you call him a nigger, you say something to him to provoke him, and then when he react, then you put him under arrest and say he was interfering with you in the line of your an officer in the line of his duty, and he's doing this, just like they said that woman was, just because she was taking pictures, she interfering with them. Then he goes and gets things on them who are in positions of authority. He tried to get something on them so that and he'll tell them, now look, if you want to stay with, is this you? That he done took up and doing something they ain't got no business. Then when he do something wrong, he tell him, you just shut up. Why you think so many of them are so conspicuously quiet when our president getting lynched and when Dr. Cosby getting lynched? It's because many who are in positions that would like to say something, they got some dirt on them. Do you understand? But I'll say something. I don't care what he got on me. I really don't. Allah already told me. He said, you just deliver my messages and I'll deliver you. That's why he said, any of them that fall on you, I'll deal with him. I'll grant him the powder. Huh? He'll be crushed. Yeah. That's what he said was going to happen to them that fall on me. So why shouldn't I? I mean, how in the world I'm going to be a savior for you if they can do something to me? Mighty pole lifeguard, if he can't jump in there without being scared, he's going to drown. is that right? So Allah, he made me to know that he's with me. And he said, now you go and help your people. I'm not going to sit up here and watch them tell these lies on our brother. And she's telling you what he really is. His actions has been those of a saintly man. That's just it. See, you can read between the lines. He ain't as good as y'all think he is. What? We just think he's a good brother. You don't need to think that about him. He's a rapist. And then listen to the people that get to testify in the court of public opinion. Not a court of law. The law ain't on their side. So they need the court of public opinion. Now just listen.
Will emerge. It could be advantageous for Mr. Cosby to give up the statute of limitations because there is a huge cloud on his reputation and on his legacy. It is also not fair to the alleged victims to have Mr. Cosby's representatives make statements about some of the women who make accusations about Mr. Cosby, and then the victims have no opportunity in a court of law to prove what happened to them. Justice demands accountability. And if Mr. Cosby is found...
Did you hear what she just said? Justice demands what? So why shouldn't these women be held to accountability for their character and whatnot to see if they can be trusted in what they are saying to us? Are they saints? Are they saints? I mean, since we gonna use that yardstick, let's put it over here too. Let's see if they are saints. So we gonna get to it in a minute. Just hold on.
Libel, then he should be held accountable. If not, the public will know it. If Mr. Cosby believes that all of the women are being untruthful, then this is his opportunity to prove it. What could be fairer than that? Mr. Cosby could agree that there would be one lawsuit for all those who have been previously barred by the statute of limitations. Then he could litigate.
What she mean that Mr. Cosby, there would be one lawsuit? Whoever wants can sue whoever they want to sue. Do you understand that? But the thing is, you have to sue people in a timely manner. If you thought you had something, if I think I had something on you, don't you think 7 years is a long time to give me to file the suit? What I'm waiting on? Come on, you ain't had your day in court. You didn't want no day in court. Even as fast as these years going by right now, 7 years is a long time. Huh? That ain't no twinkling of no eye, that's for sure. Is that right? And even if you was nervous, you had time to get over it. Is that right? And she said she got over it because she went back to show him she's fine now, right? So she got over it. One of them did. So, and wait till you hear about what the rest of them been doing. Just a moment. I mean, it's, you know, if it wasn't a shame, it would really be laughable that the national news media done stooped to such a level. Even the National Enquirer didn't carry these people's story. Now, you know the National Enquirer doesn't carry stories about aliens. Well, it's the truth. And a lady says I was abducted by aliens on the front page. And you mean this was so outlandish that even the Enquirer didn't want to be bothered with it? Brother Jamal? Where he at? Did the Enquirer turn him down? The National Enquirer wouldn't even carry it. It was so ludicrous. But listen.
All of the cases at the same time. Everyone who had claims of sexual assault by Mr. Cosby could join, and there would be an opportunity for Mr. Cosby to defend himself. Alternatively, and this is my second proposal, if Mr. Cosby doesn't want to waive the statute of limitations because he is not willing to subject himself to scrutiny in a court of law, he should agree $100 million into a fund.
Now we know what it's all about. Give us $100 million and we forget the whole thing. Is that right? And how much of that do you suppose goes to the lawyer? Approximately at maybe a third. If it go to trial, it goes up to I think 40%. Right? I don't know what they charge now, but I know what they used to be charging. So even that 100, there have been no 100 million for them, because the lawyer gonna get a third of it if he settle it out of court or whatever. Huh? All right. Now, it's all about, they want this man's money. It's gonna get clear to you what's going on in a minute. Just keep looking.
And anyone who claims she was the victim could appear before a panel of retired judges who would serve as arbitrators to determine the merits of each claim and the amount of compensation that would be appropriate if the claim is found to have merit. This alternative would occur in a mediator's or arbitrator's office, not in a court of law. Victims could present their cases, and Bill Cosby could make his arguments in defense to the retired judges. The judges decide. It is time for justice and accountability. We challenge Mr. Cosby to end this nightmare for both him and the alleged victims.
She's not asking him to end it. She asking him to keep it going. Ending it means don't you go in there. You know, there's an old saying that you give people who lie, who are foolish enough to come before you with lies, give them enough space and their lies will wind up hanging them. You know, I don't know what court you think you're going to go into and tell somebody you was drugged. And when they ask you what drug, what did this person slip on you, and you can't tell them, then how in the world you talking about you been drugged? Where's the toxicology report? Where's anything that corroborates what they're saying? Any of y'all that's listening, chime on in here. You know, I mean, I know you think I'm getting emotional about it. But if I'm so emotional, why am I giving you so many facts that disprove what they're talking about? It is a fact that if you accuse me or anybody else of drugging you, shouldn't you have something from some lab or something that says this was found in your system? Otherwise, what you gonna go to court with? Because it's you saying it? You must be a saint. You don't question saints, right? Right. So you must be a saint. Then we got to check our record, right? So let's listen to them. They talking that talk, but it ain't making sense.
By accepting either of the options which I proposed. And we look forward to his response.
You got his response. And that is, I'm not going to even dignify that. That was his response. Now, they sitting there, right? Them microphones is right there in front of them, right? Can't she just pass the mic over to her? Now watch this.
Okay, now I am going to present Beth. Beth, I'm going to have you take the seat right here. Just wait for a second. Before you start.
All right, yes, please. Hello, and thank you. My name is Beth Ferrier. This is my statement. In the mid-80s, I was an aspiring model and actress when I met Bill Cosby in New York City. Through my then agent, Mr. Cosby pursued me, and we ended up having an extramarital affair for several months.
You don't start off saying somebody raped you by saying that you knew they was married and you know, in that world, I mean, in that you know, they people frown on that, don't they? Is that right? We had an extramarital affair. That's what she starts off telling you. What does that say about her sainthood? I mean, really? I mean, just listen to her. Just listen to her.
A few weeks after I ended things with him, he called me and told me that he was coming to Denver, Colorado, where I resided at the time, to perform at a now defunct club. I went at his request to see his performance. When I arrived backstage, Mr. Cosby greeted me.
Let's give her time to get her composure. And she went backstage. He chasing her now. Huh? She went backstage, right? He asked her to come to Colorado or whatever. She said he was chasing her, didn't she? Well, what's she doing going to Colorado? Okay, let's listen.
When I arrived backstage, Mr. Cosby greeted me. and having me a cappuccino, telling me that he made me my favorite coffee. And after
She forgot to take the glasses off. You ever tried to cry with glasses on? Have you ever tried to cry with glasses on? When you cry with glasses on, you got to take them off. Don't you? Let's see if she take them off.
Drink it, I felt dizzy and lost consciousness. The next thing I knew, hours had passed. I woke up in the back of my car alone. My clothes were a mess. My bra was undone. And my car was in the alleyway behind the venue. I felt confused.
I've looked at some movies like this and thought they was, they wasn't too good, because you could see the person making all of the faces and the sounds of crying, but you didn't see no tears. You understand? You seen movies like that, right? And you don't take long to turn them because they're not good actors. The good ones, they'll either put some eye drops or something in there to make them look believable, right? And now just listen to her now. She's sitting up over there talking about what happened to her. Now listen to her real careful when she talks about rape. Just listen.
Confused and disoriented. I had no idea what had happened to me. The last memory that I had was drinking Mr. Cosby's coffee. Greeted me and handed me a cappuccino, telling me that he made me my favorite coffee. Thank you. And after I drank it, I felt dizzy and lost consciousness. The next thing I knew, hours had passed. I woke up in the back of my car alone. My clothes were a mess. My bra was undone. And my car was in the alleyway behind the venue. I felt confused and disoriented. I had no idea what had happened to me. The last memory that I had was drinking Mr. Cosby's coffee. Two security guards approached me in my car and told me that Mr. Cosby had told them to get me home. One of them drove me to my house because I was still feeling woozy. After I arrived at my home, I gathered my senses and drove to Mr. Cosby's hotel to confront him about the night's events. Mr. Cosby's explanation for what happened was that I had had too much to drink. I did not believe him. I had not consumed any alcohol that night. I believe that Mr. Cosby drugged me and sexually assaulted me that night.
Now you see why they never went to no court. Because it just didn't happen. Did you hear what she said? I believe that he drugged me and sexually assaulted me. Then what is all of this stuff in the media? They're accusing him of being a rapist. So that's all that's required for you to accuse, for them to accept people calling you a rapist and that kind of thing, is that they believe you raped them. Is that what it is now? I notice ain't none of them that's saying nothing. What all them people that was calling me MF and everything? Why don't y'all come in here and straighten us out and teach us on what that is? Y'all some low down people, man. Look, I don't have to particularly like a person to not go along with people lynching them. You know, I ain't never been no great fan of Royal. But I could acknowledge that when that brother and those who was in the United Nation of Islam, that's what they called it, was growing flour and, you know, and milling their own wheat and stuff like that. Some of y'all know I had planned on to buy flour from them. You know, I mean, I ain't got no special dislike of people. Just because I disagree with something that you say or something that you doing, that don't mean that I can't hear nothing good about you. But I'm willing to listen to everything and every lie that somebody tell on you. And then you talking about you want justice? And how can she sit there saying she want justice, that lawyer, and hear that woman talking about, I believe he sexually assaulted me? Do you know what I believe mean? It means you don't know. She didn't say she didn't drink. She said, I didn't have none that night. You went to the club and they were there, but you didn't have no drink that night. What do you think, bro? You know, I mean, I done club before. If I went in there, yeah, I mean, most clubs, you can't just walk in there and don't drink. You got to get something. You know, as a cover charge or something. You know, generally when people go to places where people drink, they sit up and they drink. You understand? But anyway, I don't know enough about this to be saying that she had drinks or didn't. But I do know enough about when somebody say, I believe something happened, that means that it didn't happen to them. They can't state for a fact that it happened to them. Then why are you accusing this man when you don't know? The accusation, how you gonna swear to, if you swear to tell the truth and you put somebody on trial for rape, you can't say, I believe he did it. You got to say, I know he did this to me. Now I got to teach him how to tell that lie. Then she goes on to say she took a lie detector test. Well, I mean, you don't have to take no test if you don't know whether you've been raped. You ain't got no case. Is that right? Come on, he assaulted me. Well, she said she don't remember nothing. But I believe he assaulted me. Okay. You would think she keep going, right? Watch what happened after she done said that. Just listen and look. And you talk about the bewilderment.
Mr. Cosby's hotel to confront him about the night's events. Mr. Cosby's explanation for what happened was that I had had too much to drink. I did not believe him. I had not consumed any alcohol that night. I believe that Mr. Cosby drugged me and sexually assaulted me that night. For years, I did not tell anyone about what he had done to me because I was afraid. I felt threatened.
She just said that she didn't know what had been done to her. What you mean for years she didn't tell nobody what had been done to her? She just said she believed something happened. So what was done to her? She don't know. And if it was you and you thought somebody had drugged you, when you woke up with a wherewithal to go confront them and you don't like their answer, what's your next move? Let me go over here and get checked. Huh? Go to the emergency room or whatever and say, I believe I've been drugged, and I was drugged by and when you mention Cosby, oh, they'll take you in there right away. And they will call a lawyer for you. You'd be surprised how many hospitals got connections to lawyers. But anyway, she ain't went and had nobody check nothing. But just listen. But when she heard just listen.
By him, I did not think anyone would believe me. In 2005, when I saw a National Enquirer story that another woman, Andrea Constant, had filed a lawsuit against Mr. Cosby, alleging that I wanted to come forward with what Mr. Cosby had done to me too. I called the National Enquirer and told them that I believed Mr. Cosby had drugged and sexually assaulted me.
She don't realize that ain't nobody gonna go out there talking about you believe somebody sexually assaulted you. What do you want people to do? Go and ruin or sully a man's reputation because you come to him and tell him you believe he did this to you. But listen.
The National Enquirer,
Me, that they would only publish my story if I took a lie detector test. I did, and I passed it. To my surprise, National Enquirer did not publish, excuse me, thank you. National Enquirer did not publish my interview.
It's because you wasn't raped. You believed you was. Well, once you just say you believe this, that's not no grounds to ruin a man's career and ruin his reputation on something you believe he did. Let me read something to you here. This is from the Daily Caller. It says a number of women who have accused comedian Bill Cosby of sexual assault either have factual contradictions in their accounts or have personal histories that cast doubt on their claims. The Daily Caller has learned 5 of Cosby's recent accusers, including multiple women currently or previously represented by prominent feminist attorney Gloria Allred, have engaged in statements and behavior that warrant increased scrutiny of their public accusations against Mr. Cosby. There is virtually no standard by which the media are holding Mr. Cosby's accusers. Cosby attorney Marty Singer told the Daily Caller in a statement, anyone and everyone who wants to file a suit or get on television can be guaranteed fawning coverage. The very same media has demonstrated an unconscionable disinterest in the veracity of his accusers and their motives. The wave of sexual assault allegations against Mr. Cosby recently re-emerged in the media after comedian Hannibal Buress referenced past accusations in a stand-up routine. Notice, not past charges, but past accusations. In other words, past gossip. Allred held a press conference last week with the three recent accusers, calling upon Mr. Cosby to pay $100 million in damages to the women, or to agree to waive the statute of limitations on civil lawsuits. That's equivalent to a vampire telling you to take the cross off so I can bite you. Well, you saw that in movies, right? Take that off. Say, well, you take it. Why don't you take it off? No, you take it off. Right? Okay. I mean, this is crazy. And it goes on to say the accusers presented below, gathered from an analysis of the women speaking out against Cosby, represent those individuals whose personal histories have raised red flags about either their credibility, their mental stability, or their run-ins with the law. Now, this one that was just talking, her name is Beth Ferrier. Now, I got a picture of her here. Let me see here. Let's get Miss Ferrier on the pull her out here. Let's see here. Just give me a minute, and I'll let you see what I'm talking about. There she is. That's her. Okay, let's put her picture up there. Now, Miss Ferrier, just a moment. Beth Ferrier, attorney Gloria Allred and Beth Ferrier, and Getty Images. Former model Beth Ferrier has also accused Mr. Cosby of sexual assault. But Ferrier made a point of visiting the set of The Cosby Show with her friends, even after she claimed the sexual assault against her occurred. Ferrier joined Allred's press conference last week and later gave a CNN interview with Allred by her side. Ferrier alleged that she engaged in a relationship with the married comedian after meeting him in 1984, and that he sexually assaulted her after she broke up with him. Ferrier admitted in her CNN interview that she visited Cosby several times after the alleged incident. I did go and several times see him in New York on the set at his Silver Star Studios when they moved that, because I felt that when I had my friends with me on the set, that I could show him that I was doing very well and I was alive and strong. And you felt that it was, now Don Lemon words in her mouth. And you felt that it was easier because you had friends with you for safety in numbers. CNN host Don Lemon interrupted to volunteer. Reached by the Daily Caller, Allred did not elaborate on the specifics of Ferrier's case. Now, the Daily Caller called her attorney and she would not elaborate on the specifics of her case, what kind of case she called herself bringing. And so, but that's her there, putting on the dog. Even that, she ain't got no tear coming out of her. Yeah, ain't no tears there. So, you know. So I wanna, okay, let's go to the next scene. Just a moment. Now the next one coming up.
And instead ran an exclusive interview with Mr. Cosby, where he denied all allegations, stating, that sometimes you try.
It would have been more believable if she'd have took the glasses off. Didn't nobody coach her on the glasses? How many of y'all wear glasses and then had and shed some tears and kept them on? How you gonna wipe your eyes through the glasses? Well, anyway, let's go on.
And help people, excuse me, let me say it again. This is what he says.
Now you know what this is. Playing on your emotions. That's supposed to, it's funny how on one hand, Miss Aldrich is a feminist attorney. She wants women's rights, right? Want women to be treated equal to men, right? Well, then why you want to get out there and want to go back to the other way now? If she cried, poor thing, please, this poor woman. You don't want to hold her same yardstick as a man now, though, huh? When she accusing someone of something that could ruin their life and ruin their career, you want us to believe it because she's sitting there faking a cry? Is that what it's supposed to be about now? Let's move on.
Stating that sometimes you try to help people and it backfires on you. And then they try to take advantage of you. I became Jane 5 in Miss Constance's lawsuit. I received such fierce backlash when I came forward in 2005 that I had to change my number several times. Lost relationships with my family and friends. And now I've recently learned that Mr. Cosby, excuse me, thank you. I've recently learned that Mr. Cosby admitted in his deposition in 2005 that he did not want National Enquirer to publish my story because it would make the public believe that maybe Andrea was telling the truth.
Well, in the first place, why would he want them to publish your story? If somebody out there lying on you, would you want them to publish their lie? What that's supposed to mean? The National Enquirer, they got some attorneys and stuff. You know, why would you go and purposely ruin a man's reputation and his life on somebody like that you just heard? Would you publish that? How many of y'all that's listening would publish that story? Okay, let's keep listening.
If Mr. Cosby would accept Roy Allred's proposal, I would be able to have my day in court. I want Mr. Cosby to face justice.
She had a chance to have a day in court. Back in the 80s. And part of the 90s. Because if she had just met him in 84, then, whatever happened between all of the 80s, the rest of the 80s, and part of the 90s, she had a chance to get in court and tell her story, huh? And even to this day, she ain't yet said that man raped her. She says she believed he raped. I mean, something Whoopi Goldberg asked Miss That other one that said that. She said, I believe he raped me. Say, you don't know? I mean, all I'm saying is the same stuff. I believe he raped me. Well, what is that? All that is a smear campaign. So let's listen.
For what he has done to me and to so many other women.
And now there she go again. Done to her. According to her, he ain't done nothing. Or did I miss something? That's like me coming up saying, I believe you broke my toe in my sleep. What? How do you defend that? How do you defend against that? Other than telling somebody, I didn't do no such thing. I ain't done nothing to you. And if you don't know for sure, how you gonna file anything against me on your belief? Ask the police. And ask any police officer. You go and try to file something and say they want to know what did you witness? Well, I believe he did it. No, what did you witness, sir? What did you witness, ma'am? If you got a complaint, you swear that this happened. Not that you believe it happened, you swear that it did happen. Then you come in there and present your proof. That's how it used to go.
I hope my coming forward inspires any other person.
Do you honestly think that somebody who's been raped gonna sit up there talking about they hope somebody else get inspired to do it? What? It don't make no difference how many people get inspired to come and lie. The proof is, where is your proof that this happened other than you saying it did? How does anybody charge that man? The police can't charge him with nothing because what? They didn't have nothing. Okay, just listen.
Harmed by Mr. Cosby, to have courage to come forward and to tell the truth about what happened. Thank you.
Did the glasses ever come off to wipe her eyes? Then crying. Then why was she making sounds like somebody crying? I'm just, I mean, what? Okay, all right, let's go a little further.
Your turn here. Helen. Yes, please, that's fine.
That one on the left ain't stopped wiping her since she been there. Have you noticed all of them sitting there wiping now? Just wiping. Steady wiping. If it was that heavy on them this far down the road, you would have thought that they would have just been boo-hooing and bawling the 20 years ago, huh? But all this emotion now? What about when it first happened? That's strange, ain't it? Okay, listen to this next one. Now this one really gonna surprise you. Just listen.
My name is, I want people to know that I had an encounter with Bill Cosby in the summer of 1973. I was attending the Clint Eastwood Celebrity Tennis Tournament in Pebble Beach, California, with two of my friends. Bill followed us around all day Saturday. He found us again on Saturday night, even though we had changed restaurants several times to avoid him. At first, we thought it was all right because it was daytime and it was Bill Cosby. We felt we were safe. But then when he found us,
well, if you felt you were safe because it was Bill Cosby, mean that he followed you around and he. Do you see the contradictions there? Now he following her around. Okay, but listen, the real thing is what she said he did.
in the last restaurant, he approached me from behind and reached over my shoulder and grabbed my right wrist. I was stunned and angry because he had no right to do that. And I didn't know why he would behave that way. His behavior was like that of a predator. Thank you.
Reached over from that right wrist. And his actions was those of a predator. She ain't said she screamed. They said that she got witnesses that these, I mean, and in a public place. And Bill Cosby. And ain't nobody seen nothing. Could you imagine a star like Bill Cosby walking into a restaurant and grabbing somebody's breast and nobody see it? I mean, it's just crazy. You listening to this? Am I the only one that thinks that something out of order here? Okay. Now, listen to, he grabbed her breast, right? Okay. See, they're getting all these assault things together. After how many years? Okay. Listen.
Oh, sorry. Please make sure you have the light. Okay. All right. Good. He's trying to get it. I know. Okay. Thank you.
In 1986, I was working at the Las Vegas Hilton while I was in high school. I was 17 years old and an aspiring model. Shalon.
She forgot to say her name. Her name is Shalon Lasha.
As a bell dispatcher at the bell desk. My father was married at the time, and his wife wrote a letter to send pictures of me to Bill Cosby. Bill Cosby called at home in Las Vegas and reached my grandmother. He said he wanted to meet me, and my grandmother and I should come to the Las Vegas Hilton, where he was going to be performing his show. He said to meet him in the Elvis Presley suite. He was going to introduce me to one from the Ford modeling agency. I had a cold at this time, and he gave me a blue pill, which he said was an antihistamine, with a double shot of amaretto. He was rubbing my neck and said that he might have to have someone come in and give me stress therapy. He had me put on a Hilton robe, and he said someone from the Ford agency was coming up to the suite, and I should wet my hair so they could see the texture of my hair. Someone did come to the room, took a couple of pictures of me, and said that I had to lose 10 more pounds. Then they left. Then Mr. Cosby walked me to the bedroom after a second shot of amaretto. He said it would help my cold. I lay down. He laid next to me on the bed and began pinching my left nipple, humping on my leg while he was grunting. I could not open my eyes. I couldn't move or say anything. I felt something warm on my legs, and I blacked out. 13 to 16 hours later, I woke up to him clapping his hands, saying, "Daddy says, wake up." He gave me $1,500, and he said the money was to buy something nice for me and my mother, and also invited us to go to the Temptations with my grandmother. My grandmother went, but I did not go because I felt too sick. Then he invited us to his show. My grandmother really wanted to go, but I didn't. But I went, and I heckled him. As a result, I was fired. My life destroyed.
Shalon Lasha. Now here's the skinny on her that they found, and I'll show it to you in a minute. So let's get this together. Now let's move along. Now that's her there. But here she is too. No, don't woo. Just look. And now I'll read to you what the article said. Shalon Lasha. Attorney Gloria Allred and Shalon Lasha at images. That's what those pictures came from. Says Shalon Lasha accused Mr. Cosby, of sexual assault in a televised press conference with Gloria Allred on December 3rd, where Allred demanded Mr. Cosby, pay $100 million in damages for Lasha and other alleged victims. Reached for comment, Allred directed the Daily Caller to Lasha's statement from the press conference stating the details of her alleged assault, which she claimed occurred in 1986. Public records show that Lasha has a long criminal rap sheet. Shellen Lasher booking photo. That's the booking photo right there. What you're looking at. It says she has been arrested for crimes including false reporting and prostitution. Lasher was arrested in 2007 and charged in Arizona with false reporting to law enforcement and trespassing. She pled guilty on both counts. No saints, is there? All right, that's what her attorney said. She said Bill Cosby ain't no saint. Well, what about them people that she got out there and dressed them up? And you saw that first picture of Miss Lasher, right? Now look at these. It says that Lasher was arrested in 2007 and charged in Arizona with false reporting to law enforcement and trespassing. She pled guilty on both counts. Lasher was previously arrested for theft in Oregon in 1988 and was convicted. Shellen Lasher booking photo. Then it says Lasher was arrested on October 18, 2014 in California and was charged with possession of billy club. And she was also arrested in 2008 in Arizona for assault, disorderly conduct, fighting, and trespassing, and pled guilty to disorderly conduct and fighting. Lasher pled guilty following a 2008 arrest in Arizona for prostitution, which was her second prostitution charge. According to available public records, Lasher failed to complete a mandatory diversion program stemming from her prostitution arrest. A warrant was issued for her arrest. Now, what's all that sitting up there faking crying and going on? What's that? What's that about? Tugging at your ignorant heartstrings, as though she's a victim, while they trying to victimize Dr. Cosby. I want to read something to you. People want to know, well, how could his wife stay with him? How could she not stay with him? That would be the question. Let me see here. This is what his wife, Camille Cosby, wrote about, a statement from her that she gave. She didn't write it. They transcribed it. Statement of Ms. Camille O. Cosby. I met my husband, Bill Cosby, in 1963, and we were married in 1964. The man I met and fell in love with, and whom I continue to love, is the man you all knew through his work. As I bear witness, I knew him through that I Spy and all that. I told you how much pride it put in me just to see him in that dignified role as a teenager back in the 60s. He is a kind man, a generous man, a funny man. And I tell you what, you remember when he came on our and I interviewed him for an hour and a half? You know, I mean, he wasn't on Larry King that long. But because he was talking with his own people, he went much longer than he had said he would have time to do. You understand? Which says something about, you know, it wasn't just for show. But anyway, she said he is a kind man, a generous man, a funny man, and a wonderful husband, father, and friend. He is the man you thought you knew. Man, there's not a doubt in her mind that, you know, he is the man that you thought you knew. You understand? And it says a different man has been portrayed in the media over the last 2 months. With the help of people like this. Now, how come they didn't tell the people that that woman had been arrested for prostitution? One of them that's accusing him was a lawyer who got disbarred and temporarily suspended for stealing money from her clients. How come they didn't say that? Well, anyway, it says a different man has been portrayed in the media over the last 2 months. It is the portrait of a man I do not know. It is also a portrait painted by individuals and organizations whom many in the media have given a free pass. There appears to be no vetting of my husband's accusers before stories are published or aired. An accusation is published and immediately goes viral. You know, what is that all about? Since when do major news networks run with gossip? Okay. We all followed the story of the article in the Rolling Stone concerning allegations of a rape at the University of Virginia. The story was heartbreaking, but ultimately appears to be proved to be untrue. Many in the media were quick to link that story to stories about my husband until that story unwound. None of us will ever want to be in the position of attacking a victim, but the question should be asked, who is really the victim? You think because people are wealthy, that when somebody who's not wealthy goes after them or attacks them, that means, I'm talking now, I read her, and she signed, that was Miss Cosby speaking up for her husband. You know, none of them never, while they was talking about they visited the man's home, they forgot. You remember when Miss, what's that model's name that called his house at 11 o'clock? Beverly Johnson? Who answered the phone? Miss Cosby did. And said her and her husband was asleep. It was about 11 o'clock at night. So where Miss Cosby at when all them in there supposedly getting raped? I mean, these people are something, man. So all of you should pass this meeting that I'm showing you all of these things tonight. You should get on it and email it to all of your friends and tell them to pass it on. And send them to the site where they can, send them the link where they can go and listen and see these things for themselves. Here, Miss Aldry sitting up there with a woman that's been accused of prostitution and got nerve enough to call Bill Cosby, say he not no saint. Well, what about them women that's sitting there next to her? Are they saints? Let me show you here. I wanna there's lots of things that I want to show you. I also want to read a statement from Mr. Schmidt, one of Mr. Cosby's, his attorney. Says, statement of John P. Schmidt, counsel Bill Cosby. On Saturday, the New York Post published an article by Stacey Brown indicating that Bill Cosby broke his silence Friday in a discussion with Mr. Brown. Various media outlets have reported on the story with the headline, Bill Cosby Speaks Out. Mr. Cosby and Mr. Brown did, in fact, have a telephone conversation. Mr. Brown identified himself as a freelance reporter for a number of African American media outlets, which prompted Mr. Cosby's comment regarding the African American media. Mr. Cosby was simply saying that he just expected that the black media would not jump on no bandwagon. And, I'm putting it in my words, that it's just like us. I ain't jumping on no bandwagon just because some white people brought something out of a bunch of white women accusing this man of something. And all of them talking about it, to say it when they had a chance to go to court on it or whatnot. I know better than that. What? If white people say it, it's always true? Is that what you're trying to tell me? He's right to expect better than that from us. So, Mr. Brown did not indicate that he was interviewing Mr. Cosby for publication, did not say that he was reporting for the New York Post, and did not tell Mr. Cosby that the conversation was being recorded. In a discussion of journalistic standards, Mr. Brown failed to adhere to the most basic standards of his profession. You even see that in the movies. You say, can I go on the record with this? And if a man tell you that it's off the record, then you keep it off the record. Is that right? If you're going to record him, you tell him, is it okay if I record you? Record our interview, or our conversation here, right? But Mr. Cosby ain't even talking about suing that man. He just telling you what happened. Now I'm gonna tell you something. All of you all that's, you just because I don't have no lots of money or lots of fame and all that, I don't envy people who do. If anything, instead of sitting down becoming crazy with envy, you ought to try to see if you can get in a circle where successful people can share some of their secrets of success with you. And just because a person is real wealthy don't mean that they are successful at life. What profiteth any man to gain the whole world and lose his integrity, lose his soul? Because once you you'll lose touch with Almighty God and the principles of righteousness, you've lost your soul. Now here you find a wealthy man. I mean, he's not filthy rich. But for a man that has, they talking about he's worth about $400 million. I don't know how much he's worth, but I know this. There are billionaires who haven't contributed the kind of funds to schools and charities that he has contributed to. And I'm going to tell you something else. Just because you don't know everything that a person is doing or has done, that don't mean they haven't done nothing for you. It's just that some people, they don't spend a lot of time sounding the trumpet of what they are doing and have done and want to do for you. You better stop helping some of these low down white people. And all of them ain't low down. I done showed you that. But you better stop helping those who are low down. You better stop helping them lend your own people. Waiting on them to tell you who your friend is and who your enemies is. He ain't been good enough for him to be telling me who my friends are. I know he ain't been no friend. And any of them that get offended because I'm saying that, they fake it. When they pretend that they care something about us. Because you don't tell me you care about me and then tell me that I can't say when people done mistreated me. How come you ain't getting on them who mistreating me? Instead of getting on me for saying they mistreating me. Now, if you want to get this, you can go to the Daily Caller, HTTP. Actually, all you have to do is go dailycaller.com. That'll put you in there, won't it, bro? Yep, dailycaller.com. Histories of several Cosby accusers cast doubt on tales. Meaning the tales they telling. That's all they telling is a bunch of tales. I mean, Miss, what that lady name? The model, Glory, what's her name? Beverly. Let me find this. I'm gonna let y'all go in a minute. Let's see here. Let's see. I want to make sure that you understand. People are not trustworthy.
Just this morning, Spelman College announced they were suspending their decades-long relationship with Bill Cosby in days after Beverly Johnson became the most high-profile name on the list of women making allegations against him. She's joining us now to tell her story. Please welcome Beverly Johnson. So, Beverly, explain to people, you went to Cosby's home in the mid-'80s to talk about a possible role on the Cosby Show. Tell us what happened.
Well, what happened was I got a call from my agent that said they wanted me to possibly be on the Cosby Show. So I was invited down to a taping, which was great. I met Cosby, the cast and everyone. And then I went to another taping where I brought my daughter. And of course, she was like 7 years old at the time, so she was in, Jello pudding heaven, and no pun intended. And then I actually took to Cosby's home, Brownstone, my daughter and I, with his staff. We had a brunch one day, and since we hadn't had a chance to rehearse for this role that I was supposed to be getting, he said, "Why don't you come back in a couple of days so that we can rehearse the role there at the Brownstone?" So I went to the Brownstone. Should I continue? Yeah. I went to the Brownstone. And
when I first heard the term the Brownstone, I thought she was talking about a hotel. But that's the kind of house he live in. It's called a brownstone. But I wonder how many people in California know that. I didn't. I grew up in California. When she said I went to the brownstone, I thought she's talking about a hotel or something. She's talking about the man's house. And why did she was talking, and then all of a sudden she just stopped and said, "Shall I continue?" What's she asking, shall she continue for? Let's just listen how out of place that sounded.
home, Brownstone, my daughter and I, staff. We had a brunch one day, and since we hadn't had a chance to rehearse for this role that I was supposed to be getting, he said, why don't you come back in a couple of days so that we can rehearse the role there at the Brownstone. So I went to the Brownstone. Should I continue? Yeah. I went to the Brownstone, and we had a little light dinner downstairs, and then when you go upstairs into the living quarters, it's a huge cappuccino contraption on the bar there, and he said, I want you to act like you were a drunk woman. I thought, well, that's kind of weird, pregnant woman being drunk, because he played a doctor in the Cosby Show, but I went with it. And then he started to make this cappuccino and offered me a cup of cappuccino, at which time I said, well, I really don't want to drink any. It keeps me up at night. And he insisted.
You notice all of them talking about a cappuccino. Huh? I mean, everywhere he had is a cappuccino. Okay, all right. All of them models now. But ain't none of them told the other one about their experience, right? Okay, let's listen.
That I drink this cappuccino. And I didn't really want to argue with, Bill Cosby, so I took a sip of the cappuccino, and I said, the room started to spin a little. So right away.
If you took a drink of something that you didn't want in the first place, and you felt funny after you took a sip of it, what would you say? First thing I would be saying is, hey, what's in this? But I sure wouldn't drink no more. She drunk some more. She said, well, and let's just listen to her now, her own words. We ain't got to try to twist nothing. Just listen.
Keeps me up at night, and he insisted that I drink this cappuccino. And I didn't really want to argue with, Bill Cosby, so I took a sip of the cappuccino, and I said, the room.
Now, according to her, he insisted that she drink the cappuccino. And after the first sip, she felt strange. According to what she was describing there, right? What was that? Wasn't that even more reason to say, hey, wait a minute, what's in this? Huh? But she didn't question him about it, right? Now listen now.
Right away. And then I took another sip, and then it was coming on like a moving train, meaning the drug. And at that moment, I knew I had been drugged. He motioned to me to come over like we were going to rehearse the scene then. And I went over, he put his hands on my waist. I put one hand on his shoulder to steady myself at this moment. And I cocked my head to one side and looked him dead in the eye and said, you're a...
And thank God you found that voice within you. How did you find the...
She didn't say that she told him, get your hands off of me. Didn't say that I think that I better go. None of that. Now, she went over there excited about being with Bill Cosby, right? Then how do you go from being excited and then get a couple of swigs of cappuccino and all of a sudden hear MF? What was that? If she was that excited about going over there with him, then why would she assume that he was something bad or whatever? If anything, she'd have been telling him, hey, look, I got a problem here. I think I better go and whatnot. Why is she cock her head to one side and call him MF? And she said she kept repeating that. But she was repeating it, pushing her out. Is that right? Okay, just listen.
To do that. I don't know what, because I couldn't stop saying it, and I kept saying louder and louder and louder. And at that moment, he looked at me like I was crazy and realized that it wasn't going anywhere because I was rolling with the drugs, and I was. At which time he grabbed me by the arm, dragged me down the brownstairs stairs, and I didn't really know at that time where I was going. And before I knew it, we were out on the sidewalk, and he had me by one arm and was hailing a taxi with the other. I can remember like it was yesterday. It was almost dusk because people were kind of recognizing him.
And you, because you're the most famous.
Well, they were really, they were really recognizing him. I mean, I don't know because my eyes were coming.
Just a moment. Now here she's a supermodel, but she can't say that because then you start asking, well, what was the excitement? I mean, you was a pretty lady yourself, and well known and whatnot, but she wants to play the victim. Yeah, she got to make herself into the victim, right? So they all knew him. Yeah, they all knew him. And she ain't yet said that he tried to rape her, did she? Right? Okay. Now, what happened when, I mean, how did he get to be an MF then? It puts me back in mind of that letter that the lady wrote that seduce him and try to get some of his sperm. Right? I mean, I couldn't help but think about that letter. And if he don't go for the seduction, well, he might be a MF dead. Do you understand? After he tell her, I see what you up to, and you out of here. And then she, well, you so-and-so, you so-and-so this, and he dragging her on downstairs. Next thing she knew, she was outside. That's what she said. She ain't gonna say he put me out, but that's what happened. Is that right? Okay. Look, listen to him.
And you know, he slams the door, and I remember trying to get my address out. I can remember like it was yesterday. It was almost dusk because people were kind of recognizing him.
And you, because you're the most famous.
Well, they were really, they were really recognizing him. I mean, I don't know because my eyes were kind of rolling around. I remember getting in the taxi with him, and you know, and he slams the door, and I remember trying to get my address out to the driver where I lived, and after that, I said, "Did I just call Bill Cosby?" Was all I could think about. Was what I called him, not me being drugged, but that just shows you the culture of women, and the violence towards women, and us always blaming ourselves.
Now, Beverly, this one of the reasons that you decided to come out was what?
Well, one of the reasons I decided to come out was that I saw all these very courageous women on the television telling their story, which is very, very eerily similar to mine. And also, I sit on the board of Robert Sinatra's Children's Center for sexually abused children. I do a self-esteem class. I do, and these brave kids that have had horrific incidents with child abuse. And I thought it was my responsibility, and my conscience would not let me sit there in silence any longer. And you know what else I realized? That I kept saying to myself, now, why are you afraid? I know why you were afraid then, you know, the big Bill Cosby and what that would do to you in your career. Just came out of a horrible marriage with a powerful man, and I know how that went. It wasn't good. But I said to myself, I have to the reason why I was so fearful at this moment was because of what other people's opinion of me would be. And I realized I don't care about what other people's opinions are. I care about doing the right thing.
Did you tell anybody about this ever? Did you tell anyone that this had happened to you prior to now?
I told no one.
You told no one?
I told no one. And that's the norm.
Yeah.
Was you a psychologist? Did you hear? I told no one, and that's the norm. That's the norm. What you mean that's the norm? Where that's coming from? They done sit down and talked it over, and they want to try to tell you that when people get raped or whatever, and the norm is they don't tell nobody. Well, then how do anybody ever get charged with rape? Come on, come tell it to me. How does anybody ever get charged with rape if it's normal for them not to tell nobody? That's one of them things that you said. That's a good question, huh? Okay, now let's go a little bit further. Why did she say that's the norm? Because somebody then talked it over in a little circle there. Said, well, people gonna want to know how come you didn't tell none of the people that you work with or whatnot. Oh, well, just say that's the norm. That don't happen. Is it the norm for friends stuff to happen to people and they won't tell their close friend? They might tell their close friend, don't you tell this, but so-and-so, such and so and such and so to me. Right? She didn't tell none of her modeling friends. You remember that other model said that she's been offered money. She's been the casting couch. A whole lot of stuff done happened, right? How come they didn't ask her about that? Come on, she don't tell no. Anybody that can come out their mouth with the word MF, and a woman that come out with that word, she ain't intimidated. Now let's face it. Now, I done seen some tough women. And if she call you that, man, you don't intimidate her. Huh? She bust you in your mouth. Is that right? Yeah. And I knew some tough women, and they, and I don't mean lesbians either. I'm just talking about, they run with the brothers and hang out, and if you do something to them, man, they ain't intimidated by you. I don't care who you is. That's the first thing they'll say. I don't care who you is. Do you understand? And so she's sitting there lying. Pretty soon, Whoopi gonna ask her a question that's gonna manifest. She's just lying.
It would be abnormal to tell someone.
Yeah, I have to ask you, Beverly. So you came out because the stories that these women were telling were similar to what you had experienced. He did not rape you.
I don't think so, no.
You're not sure?
What? I don't think so. He didn't rape you, but you coming out here to say what? And I mean, that was you remember when I asked Miss Ruley, did he rape her? What was her answer? No. Well, what are you coming out here accusing? What are you trying to say? I believe he raped that other one, though. Okay, that's what Ms. Ruley said. Remember that? You know, I don't care nothing about what you believe. I want to know what you know. He didn't rape you, but you think he did it to somebody else. But you don't know that either. But listen, let's go back and back that up just a little bit.
You came out because the stories that these women were telling were similar to what you had experienced. He did not rape.
I don't think so, no.
You're not sure?
I don't remember anything after I got in the taxi and said, did I just call Bill Cosby?
So the taxi got you home.
The taxi got me home. The next thing that I remember, obviously got me home, I'm here. The next thing I remember was waking up the next day and recalling, was that a dream or did that just happen?
And you still feel terrible for the drugs because you described.
I was, you know, the drugs were there, but I felt such a loss. It was like I lost a family member. I felt such a sense of disappointment. I was devastated, and I really didn't know, you know, what.
Trying to shift it back on him, as though he let me down or he did that. That man ain't done nothing to her. Sitting up there just lying. Okay, listen.
Happened. In a sense of what happened, meaning that, I'm sorry, because I'm getting on the road, but it's a feeling of just loss. I was numb.
Did you hear that? She's on a roll. That's what people say when they're making up something and it sounded good to them. Don't stop me now. Roy said that. When he was talking, he said, I'm on a roll. I mean, if it wasn't a shame, if this wasn't about, you would think that this was some kind of situation comedy here. If it wasn't real, you wouldn't believe that it could happen. Trying to ruin that man's reputation with this. Okay, it's late, Wednesday night. So I'm gonna let you and Beverly go home with each other on your mind. But you know, I mean, it's sad. I thank y'all for being patient with me, and you know, we'll if it's more that I need to say, I got some other things here, but I'm gonna wait and let them see if they got sense enough to go and leave that man alone. You know, because they running it. You know, that's the one thing that the old people taught me. He said, be careful, young man, about trying to dig a hole for somebody, because you got to get down in it first. Now, CNN and all of them that's carrying this foolishness. I mean, this story that the Daily Caller dug up, how this woman, these women had these shady pasts and all that kind of stuff. If the Daily Caller could find that information, how come CNN couldn't? And these major news networks, how come they couldn't find it? They didn't want to. And they need to correct themselves. All right. May Allah bless us all, keep us safe and in our right minds, and give Mr. Cosby and his family peace. And give all them false accusers repentance. And may he make people see the truth of President Obama and how much he has really done for this country. as a patriot. And bring all those to naught and their plans to naught who seek to defame him. Never seen so many people trying to do so much to demean someone that they deem to be inferior to them. Look like to me you should give him what he wants so he could prove that he's inferior. But obviously you know better. So may Allah's peace be unto you all. May Allah's salam alaikum.
For conference recording, goodbye.